Hi and welcome back. So this week I had a bit of trouble trying to decide which image to use. I printed a couple off that I haven't talked about before, and even though there is something to say about them, I just went with my heart, with my gut, and I was looking through a big box of pictures and saw a shot which really is one of my favourite all-time images, because sometimes a picture kind of speaks to me, and this could sound a bit wanky in terms of the feel of the shot. You know, it's just got almost something that you can touch, emits a vibe that makes me feel really happy. And certainly as someone who's not a lighting expert, I mean, my lighting technique works perfectly well for me and what I need to capture, but it's rough and ready, and it's quick and easy to implement. And you know, when you've got not long and you've got to get the shot done, or you're working on the hoof, then it's got to be quick. But the fact that with my minimal lighting I managed to get something that was this good in my eyes. I mean, I'm just, you know, sometimes you create something and you go, I'm just really happy with that. Earlier on today, I spoke to the writer who came on the trip with me, Tom Bryant, and he reminded me of a few things that I'd forgotten about. And so basically, it was a shoot for Kerrang Magazine, and the story goes that the editor at the time really wanted the Foo Fighters on the cover, but to get the Foos on the cover, he had to agree to putting the Mars Volta on the cover because they were managed by the same management company, and you know, the politics that go with that. And that's basically how magazines operated in that time. We flew into El Paso with their brilliant and legendary press officer Anton Brooks, who used to do the press for bands like Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins, Beastie Boys, Foo Fighters, and the list literally goes on and on. Anyhow, we arrived in El Paso and checked into quite a dodgy hotel by all accounts. But the next day we met up with band, and they had a friend who was happy to drive us around in a minibus. Not even a minibus, do you know what I mean? Like a band kind of minibus. The idea of the feature was it really had to be a bit of a warts and all, like for them to show us everything, you know, nothing to be held back. And they really did do that. They basically drove us around town, gave us full access to their lives, you know, the lives growing up in El Paso. They took us down to the skate park where they used to score drugs, and they showed us how they crossed the border to watch sex shows. And all of this was in the feature, which I'm going to try and link to in my stories in the next couple of days. The brief was that it was their El Paso and their home, so they had to, they were happy to show us around all these very visual places and places that were relevant to them. And there was one really visual place, which was a cemetery, and I think it was called Smeltertown Cemetery. That typical sort of Mexican vibe. Apparently that's where they used to go and do mushrooms and other things. Really near to the cemetery there was this overground massive railway tracks. It just looked really sort of industrial and very visual. I thought how it could look really good in the background. So I had a really massive medium format bag. I was shooting on medium format with Polaroids, and it's really heavy. And then I had some, like I say, quite sort of low-key lights, but they run on a battery pack and they're on a stand. And so I ran everything into position in front of the tracks, and the sun was obviously shining behind them because the way I'd lit it, you've got this lovely clipping key light behind them from the sun that was just spot on. I mean, it's like the sweet spot for me of like, yes. And the train went by at just that moment. It was like, you know, making that rackety sound, you know, running along the tracks. And they look so cool as well. I mean, you couldn't get a cooler looking band. So it was just like all the perfect ingredients into one that came together and made that shot. And like I say, it just leaves me feeling warm inside. So, you know, sometimes when people say, what's your favourite, who's the favourite person you've ever shot or whatever, it's not always about fame. For me, it's something that I get back from the shoot, and that is one of my absolute faves. just because I amazed myself, I think, and thought, yeah, I'm all right at this. Anyway, see you next time.